Hello there and welcome to the Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. I'm your host, Vidas Pinkevičius. This is part 2 of our conversation with John Higgins from Whyalla, South Australia. And he is one of my original students from 2012 and still continuing to subscribe to my blog Secrets of Organ Playing to this day. And he is a mechanical engineer by profession, but loves pipe organ so much that he's doing great work for his community, playing recitals, organizing concerts, and even raising funds to restore valuable historical organs in his area. I hope you will find this conversation inspiring, because John firmly believes that if he can do it, anyone can. Let's go to the show. Telling stories is all it takes sometimes to touch people and to connect with them, and I'm really excited that you do tell stories when you demonstrate the organ in Whyalla or elsewhere. Because, sometimes to play Bach, as much as we love the pieces, doesn't connect with people, right? But if you explain and you educate and you share stories that people can relate, yes, they can even appreciate the most advanced fugues sometimes,
It was when I did this Christmas Carol recital at St. Martin's, I played Bach's Prelude and Fugue in E minor from the 8 short preludes and fugues, and that I thought about, why is that piece so special to me? And I realised that in the prelude there's so many ascending sequences and descending sequences, and I thought to me the descending sequences in the prelude speak of God coming down and touching us.
Yes.
And then the prelude, which has the chromatic steps at the beginning of the fugue, was it E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, like that. Mm-hmm. Speaks of our thanks and praise going back up to God. And I shared that with the people before I played, and it's such a beautiful piece of music. But afterwards, that's what everyone was saying to me. They're like, that was amazing how you said about God coming down to us and us communicating back to God in prayer, and that seemed to make it come alive for them.
Yes, if you give something to people to think about something and to count thematic entrances of the theme in the fugue, for example, to listen for various registrations, right, or simply to tell a story about the feelings and even the historical context sometimes works. Reminds me of an analogy I've heard about the India and its elephants. Sometimes the villagers in India, in rural parts, have festivals when farmers sell fruits and display their labor, and all the animals of this village would come along, and of course big elephants. And elephants, they like bananas. They like bananas everywhere, so they snatch from one farmer and another. And the elephant has a big trunk, and so one big, bag of banana is not enough for one, right? So he constantly snatches bananas. So these poor farmers are always suffering from these elephants. But there is a trick you can do with this elephant, and I think I share this on the blog, that if you give a stick to the elephant to hold in his trunk, just during this procession, right? A stick, regular walking stick. then this elephant is busy holding the stick, and the bananas will be safe. You see, so the same is with people when you are playing recital and trying to connect with them. If you give something for their mind to be occupied while you play, you win. I mean, you both win, you all win, but you win them. So yes, we have to probably think harder than to play the notes, right? While practicing, what can we tell people about this place, about this episode, about this music, about this composer, that can be of value to them at their level of development, of course, right? Because if we are talking too difficult stuff, they won't relate. Right.
Quite often before like recitals, probably I reckon at least a month before my recitals, I'll Google the name of my pieces and like read all the history about when the composer composed it and what was going on in their life when it happened, and maybe an organist who played it or when it was premiered, and sometimes I'd read for 15 minutes on my mobile phone every night before I go to sleep, looking at these pieces. And 99% of what I read just goes in and out. But every now and then, something important out of that story, it's like soaking into your mind. And then when I stand up and speak at the recitals, most of the time I don't even bother taking any notes. Everything's in my mind from what I've been reading. And the storytelling is what captures their attention. And because I'm not Thomas Hayward, I feel like I have to win people over a bit with my storytelling, because I know my music's not enough, if you know what I mean.
It's like David and Goliath, right? David fights the Goliath. Goliath is a giant, right? And he has strengths in sword fighting and shield, and David is a small shepherd, right? And how can he possibly win this fight unless he plays it by his own rules, right? Unless he has this. How do you call this gun?
Sling.
Exactly.
A sling.
A sling, and he was very proficient. And this I've read that the speed of the little stone, or like a pebble, right, which would fly out of the sling into the head of the victim, would be the same as a 45 millimeter bullet in nowadays terms. So he was very sufficient and proficient in being very precise and fast, and Goliath was basically like a stationary target. He couldn't move, right? He was half blind probably because he had this illness. Scientists also discovered, which also has symptoms because he was very tall and half blind. So there is a disease like that, disorder basically, for people even nowadays. And so play by your own rules, John, and you will win sooner or later. And it's okay to follow the rules as long as you are the one who are inventing them, right? And this is not my idea, and Seth Godin is the author of this saying. So, but I like these little stories, little snippets of wisdoms, because we can really connect and apply them.
That's something that I've found really special about what you're doing, is that I don't think I've come across anybody who plays the organ who thinks about life in the same way that you do, and just take that as a real sincere compliment from me, because I've showed a number of people, like my grandfather and my parents, I've shown them some of the blogs that you've written, and they don't even know you, but they say that that you really understand human nature and you understand life.
Well,
These things.
we all do, John, of course, because, as I say, it's not enough to play the notes that you love, the music that you love, but you have to think about, as you say, human nature, what is inside of us and what keeps us from achieving our potential, even not dreams, not goals. It's a bigger thing, our calling, potential, for the what can we be of service for the humanity, right? Some people, oh, I want to play the organ and play the concert, and this is my potential. No, there is so much more we can do, probably, if we not limit ourselves by saying this is our potential, right? So I hope we will never reach our potential, that's for sure, but we will keep trying, right? Keep trying.
So tell me a little bit about where do you think you've got that ability from? Like, is there something remarkable that's happened in your life, or that has given you that ability to see it that way? Because it's very rare to find people who think about it not just focused on the specific technical skills. Like some of the other organists that I've met in Adelaide, in the big city, they're so dry and so inhuman, if you like. It's very elite society, and it's they don't really put life in perspective and really understand. It's all very mechanical and cold.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not a saint or a idol or a superhuman in any way. I have my own weaknesses, and that what probably makes us human, right? To be conscious of our weaknesses and be willing to be vulnerable in front of people, be willing to put ourselves out there, and see what happens. Sometimes people respond with harsh criticisms, and we can take it. We can take it because sometimes people love us so much that they even bother to criticize us, right? But some people criticize us out of sheer probably envy, right? That nobody can do this, but I'm a professional organist and I can't, right? And you're not supposed to even try, but you do anyway. So these people are hecklers, right? Like trolls. We don't pay attention, and we don't read the good comments or the bad comments about these. Sooner or later you start to feel the nature of this person. If somebody writes to you an email, sooner or later, if you respond to the heckler, later you will regret it, because you just feed the troll. Don't feed the bears, they say, right, at the zoo. So the same is with trolls. If he writes something, right, even a praise for your miraculous virtuosity, the only thing he needs from you is your attention, and anything you say is going to be used against you, because he is in love with himself or herself, basically. He doesn't need your help or my help. He just needs you to say how beautiful he is or she is. So we avoid those people. That's it, what we do, and we surround ourselves with people who share our vision, who share our values, and who can support. We support each other, basically, like yourself, right? You're a mechanical engineer. I'm not a mechanical engineer, but we have something in common. Not only organ, I would suspect, but values in life, right? And the criticisms of people like you are very, very dear to me, because you mean it. You want to help, right? So that's what.
So tell me a bit more about how you've developed this understanding of human nature and what's important. Is this come from your parents, or have you been through some tough challenges when you were younger? Because I can see that you've got a real grip and understanding of human nature and how to overcome these things.
I don't have an understanding of human nature. I don't. I just what I do is I try to help people. That's all. Really, that's what matters. Probably helping people, not in a way that you think is the best for them, but they would appreciate at their level, right? If somebody doesn't like playing pedal scales, for example, I know it's good. I tried it myself. It works. I can prove it. I can have hundreds of examples of people who done it and successfully developed. But if a person, for example, doesn't enjoy or even believe in this technical exercises, I can help him or her in another way, through things that he would understand, or she. So I think empathy is very important, to try to see the world as it is and not as we like it to be, right? Because we are all preoccupied with these ideas. Oh, I'm great. I'm worthy of recognition, right? Success, of everything. But in reality, nobody really cares, because everybody is busy with their ideas, and everybody is suffering in one way or another. And 7 billion people in the world, and nobody cares, right? So we have to surround ourselves with people who care, and that doesn't mean we have to have millions of people. Just a small number, possible minimum of people to have whom we can have impact. That's it. We never be able to compete with popular TV shows like I don't know what's trending in Australia, but in America, like American Idol and these things. It's not possible, right, in our sphere. But to have an impact, yes, we can have an impact when somebody writes an email and says, "Oh, I was so upset. I was so probably disturbed and thought of dropping my dream and trying to go in another direction, but your emails made sense and saved the day for me." Or sometimes even you might get lucky and save the life of somebody if you that didn't happen to me, but I know bloggers who did write something inspirational and somebody stopped from some hurtful actions. So helping people, and you learn along the way what works, what doesn't, and tell stories, of course, because just insights and advice doesn't work, because people are tired of step-by-step approaches and seven mistakes that you should avoid, and 11 topics that you should do. These list bulleted numbers. No, you have to relate by telling stories, and sometimes it takes a deep look at your own life. What have you experienced today that can be of value to people around the world?
Something that I've been thinking about a lot was, I remember in one of your blogs you said the only help is self-help. And when you first, there's quite a few things that you say that when I first read it I think, oh, you can't mean that. Surely that's not really true. And then I'll stew over it because I'm a very reflective thinker. It takes me a while to absorb things and think over my answers. And I think about it for a while, and then sometimes it takes, 3 or 4 hours. Sometimes it might take me a month. And just the last week or two, I've started to realise that it's true what you've said, that the only help is self-help. And sometimes I wonder, like, what it would be like to come over to Vilnius and study with you and things like that. And then I realise that there's truth in what you're saying, that unless I want to help myself, it wouldn't matter whether I was studying full time. Obviously that would help a lot, but the reality is that my stage of life and with the family and the job, I'm never going to have the time or be able to afford to go to university to study music. But if I can keep helping myself, and when I read your little blog about the young lady that you were helping with the Bach Prelude, and you asked her to start singing,
that's right,
one of the voices and playing the other one, I felt quite a lot of shame and guilt, because I rather suspect that if that was me, I know that I wouldn't have been able to do it past maybe 2, at the most 3 voices. And it made me think, would I have given up? And I think maybe I would have. And it made me realise how special it was that young lady kept going. And that was a motivation to me, that Michael Jordan quote that you said, that you can't put up with anybody who doesn't try. Mm-hmm. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, I don't think I could do that at the moment, but I guess I steeled my mind that I will try, even if I fail, I'll try.
That's tremendously important, John. This young lady, I should say, her name is Eglė. Eglė, by the way, is the name of Lithuanian tree, fir, like a Christmas tree, right? Eglė, Egle. And you shouldn't be ashamed, because she just recently, just a few days ago, won national Bach piano competition.
Wow.
At her level, she was the first prize winner. Well, she is very, very talented, but not only talented, but her level is already very high. She is 11th grader right now, and she studies music from the first grade. And we have lots of students in this school, National Čiurlionis School of Art, but she is like one of the top 10 probably at this level today, at this school. So you shouldn't be ashamed, of course. But if I were teaching you, and if I wouldn't be, I never would have asked you to sing one voice and play 3. I would probably ask to sing 1 and play another 2 voices. Like that would be challenging enough, and you want to push people, but not to overdo it, so that you could get a sense of achievement and not a depression, like, oh, this is too much, right? Only for virtuosos this can be achieved. So at your level, 2 voices are plenty for right now, and you never know, right? Maybe you will reach the 3rd voice level sooner than you think.
And I guess that's one of the things that gives me hope, because one of the most amazing experiences for me was this concert before Christmas, and Andrew George, my friend, who's the organist in North Adelaide at quite a large church there, and a sort of a fairly prestigious position, to have him come and play in my recital was just so amazing. And then when I looked at the pieces that I was playing, and it is to think that this has happened in 4 years. 4 years ago, I could hardly even play a note right. And I remember somebody said to me once that we usually overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year, but we significantly underestimate what we can achieve in 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true, that I didn't get very far at all in my first year. But now 4 years have gone, and hopefully this year's going to be a challenge with number 2 coming and Timothy, and obviously work's not going too well up here, but these other things are important. But I'll try and make the most of what time I have. But at the end of the 5 years, I think I will have achieved so much more than I ever thought was possible.
That's true. Sometimes, John, we usually take step-by-step approach, right? But sometimes the improvements sometimes happen by leaping. Sometimes, like in science, right? The big breakthroughs never happen step by step. Sometimes they happen overnight, right? You wake up, a genius scientist has this idea, tests, and here it is. But yes, usually we work in step by step approach, but be prepared to leap as well.
It's hard to put a value on experience. Like, I was looking through some of my old notes today, and I found one of your articles, probably from 2012, and it was talking about how it's not until you've done 5 to 10 recitals that you really start to get the hang of it, and then the goal should be to get to 50 or 60. And I started thinking back about how many public recitals I've done now. I can't remember the exact number, but I think I would have gone past 10 over a year ago. And I've noticed that probably in the last 12 months there's been a really big improvement, that I feel like I'm practicing the same, just as hard as I was before, but the fear is diminishing and the confidence is improving in public.
You're absolutely right. The number 10 recitals, for example, I came up from my own experience with improvisation. I remember my first improvisation, full-scale 60 minutes recital, which was, I think, a couple of years ago in Mosa, this little village I've talked about on the blog. And this was a crazy idea. I shouldn't have done this, but I did it, and I'm glad, never regret it. But of course it was very, very frightening. And little by little, 10 recitals, right? And I remember I counted all of them, and the 10th recital suddenly was sort of like a breakthrough. You notice something what you couldn't done before, right? And you could. Like for me, during the 10th recital, I started to play imitations between the hands, feet, dialogues between the voices, right? A little that didn't occur to me before, or my technical abilities didn't let, or I'm not sure whether technical abilities or my level or something, but at the 10th recital I started doing this, and it started to change the level of my playing as well, because when you have dialogues between voices, it becomes much more advanced sounding and lively conversation, right? But 10 recitals, yes, it's such a solid number. And then little by little you have 20, right, sometimes, and then you have another revelation too, I hope.
And I think one of the other things I've come to accept is, like, getting to a point of peace in yourself is so important, and nobody else can do that for you. And I came across, I can't even remember the name of this lady now. There was a soprano singer in America, And I stumbled across one of her like coaching videos quite by accident. It was really just an act of God, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And she was speaking about how she'd had all of this training and just couldn't break through with her singing, and people were saying to her, "We don't think you can make it because you're not getting to the level that you need to be." And she said that her breakthrough moment came when somebody said to her, "You need to go away and ask yourself the question, why would somebody pay $50 of their hard-earned money to come and listen to you?" And she talked about how deep an emotional experience that was for her to say, what I'm doing is so valuable that it's worth people parting with their money to come and hear this. And to me, that you could see that she was saying that it's about inner belief. And that's something that I've started doing now, where I ask myself, obviously I would never dream of asking people to pay money to come and listen to me, but you know, usually we just ask for a gold coin donation for the organ fund at the end, but I could never charge money for people to come to my playing. But I still ask myself the question, if I was going to ask for $50, why would they come?
You could charge for your insights, though, because what you're saying right now is priceless to people. I think this information and your stories, because you understand also human nature, because you started doing it yourself from zero, from level very, very beginning level, and you went through these ups and downs, right? So no, you are not a beginner at this level. Maybe you are a beginner at something technically, right? But since you have this very broad perspective and depth knowledge of how we humans function, that can also add value into your technical expertise as well, and facilitate the progress as well. Because let's face it, if you were a child of maybe 7 years old, right, and I give you these exercises, yes, you could develop your pedal playing technique if your legs were long enough, but your mind would be so much different than it is now, right? So the mind is what matters, I think, the most. Because our body will weaken when we age, but the mind continues to develop.
And I remember one of the articles that you wrote just recently was saying about the difference between an ordinary playing of a piece and something that's exceptional and touches you. And it was interesting, like, I've got a few CDs of different organists playing, and they're all, you know, expert top cathedral organists, and yet there's on two of the CDs, one organist plays the same piece, and then on the other CD the other organist does, and one of them is just like, both of them are perfect, absolutely perfect. But one of them, I just want to keep listening to that piece over and over and over and over again, and I never get sick of it. And the other one, you listen to it once and you think, it's just forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And it's two geniuses playing the same piece, but somehow the way that this... it's John Robinson, who's the cathedral organist at Canterbury Cathedral in the UK. And Priority Records have got a whole series on all the cathedral organs in England. And one of my organist friends lent me almost the whole set before Christmas. And I had such a good time watching all these DVDs. And I learnt so much about being an organist from watching them. And the organ demonstrations were just amazing. And one thing that I took away that gave me so much hope was that all of these cathedral organists were so different. Like, one person is like a real quiet introvert who can hardly even speak properly to do the organ demonstration. Another person will be excitable and happy and outgoing, and they're just beaming with smiles all the time and talking lots. And then you get the other ones that have got the real quirky humour, and some of them are like, you know, very elitist and like they think that they're something special, and they are, but you can see that they know it. And others are like so humble, and that it's a privilege, like they say, it's a privilege to have you come into our organ loft so you can see this organ demonstration. And it gave me hope, because I could see that so many, it doesn't matter about your personality or your character or your abilities as a person. It's about your passion for wanting to play the organ. You could see all of them had that amazing passion, and they're just living it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, live your passion, and probably you will reach the level where you can be of value to people. Yes, because if you are doing this not out of passion but out of another set of motivations, less valuable probably, then it's very difficult to sustain it over time, right? Because passion calling has to be the burning basically engine that will motivate you, helping other people and yourself.
So have you got some wise words for the year ahead for me?
Sure, John. I think the thing that I wanted to end this conversation is that you continue to be brave, right? Continue to be persistent, and continue to be generous, which of course you demonstrated all these three qualities. And connected, the fourth one, connected meaning that you are open to people and you connect with them, not only online but in your area, your community. And that's how you grow. That's how you get motivated to get up out of bed every morning, because you know that somebody counts on you to show up. And if you're not regularly, for example, showing up in people's email inboxes, maybe people count on you to show up 3 months in their church, for example, in recital. They're counting on you, they're trusting, and that's very powerful motivation to grow too. So
it's quite interesting on that point. I got a text message on Sunday afternoon from the priest at St. Martin's saying that there was a wedding on the 27th of February and could I play for the wedding. Obviously, I broke my thumb a week ago, and the cast has to stay on for 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. And so I only get that off a week before the wedding. And I thought about it. Eliza said, "Oh, you probably should say no, because how are you going to play after a broken thumb for someone's wedding?" And I thought about it, and I thought, well, I can practice the pedals in the left hand for the next 3 weeks, and then the rest of it I've played mostly before, and as long as my thumb isn't in excruciating pain, I'm sure I can figure the right hand out in a week. So I ended up texting back and saying, yes, I'll play.
Exactly.
Sorry. Then I got a text message from her this morning saying that the bride has decided that they're going to have all CD music instead. And I replied back and I said, well, what a shame that she isn't going for live music. Think about what she's missing out on.
So anyway, because you listen to the advice of people that love you, right? And if they say that no, you shouldn't do this, it's too dangerous now, too risky, right? And that's perhaps the indication that you should do this, because they want to protect you. They want to protect you, but deep inside you know that, well, what's the worst that can happen? Really nothing. You cannot really break a second thumb on that same hand, right? Because you broke already. So you're good to go. And as you say, you can practice pedals, left hand together. You can even practice without the thumb with the right hand. I'm not sure if you can, because maybe the strain would be too much. But a week of practicing all parts together, wisely selected repertoire, that's possible. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Like you know that I've got a strong faith in God, and it's like sometimes, you know, the story of Abraham and Isaac, and he had to took the bundle of wood with Isaac, and Isaac said, "Where's the lamb?" And of course, you know, he had to say to him, "Well, you know, you're going to be the sacrifice." And then when they got there, God had the lamb stuck in the bushes, and they had that instead. And it's like sometimes I think God puts us in difficult situations to see how much we trust Him. Mm-hmm. And if we just say, "Yes, God, I'll do it," He often provides us with an escape, so that it's not that bad.
Imagine if you said no, right, for that wedding proposal. Wouldn't you have felt differently when the bride decided to change the music to the digital? But you said yes, right? And now you're back to the square one. But you said yes, you agreed, right? Mm-hmm. And the situation is much different. Your feeling of accomplishment, in deeper accomplishment is much more profound, I think, now that you dared to say yes. So have a wonderful year ahead of you, John, and I'm conscious of your time. And one more time, tell our listeners how they can connect with you online.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook at John Higgins, JOHNHIGGINS, or email me at john.eliza.higgins@gmail.com.
Fantastic, John. I'll make sure I put these links into the description of this podcast so that people can find you. And thank you so much. You're a real gift to the people, to your community, and keep being brave, generous, connected, and persistent.
Thanks so much, Vidas.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
If you liked this conversation, I encourage you to visit my blog Secrets of Organ Playing at organduo.lt, where you will find lots of insights, practical advice, and training for every area of organ playing. You can subscribe to this blog for free to get your daily dose of inspiration and to be the first to know when any of my future podcasts roll out. I hope to help you reach your dreams in organ playing. I'm Vidas Pinkevičius. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you online really soon.